I'm going to be reading out aloud here the reception tab to this classic Doctor Who serial, the Moonbase. And that's so I can compare and contrast what appear to be the general consensus thoughts versus my own on this particular serial. So, Paul Cornell, Martin Day, and Keith Topping gave the serial an unfavourable review in the Discontinuity Guide 1995, writing that it was illogical and boring, reducing the Cybermen to the role of intergalactic gangsters. A little bit, maybe. In the television companion 1998, David J. Howe and Stephen James Walker noted that it was a remake of The 10th Planet, but was far superior in the way the Cybermen were portrayed. They also praised the music, acting, and the shots on the moon, but they felt the direction was lackluster in places and called the shots of the Cyberman ship landing amongst the worst ever seen in Doctor Who. In 2009, Patrick Mulkern of Radio Times also praised the redesigned Cybermen and the atmosphere. He wrote that the scripts impart dollops of science without jarring and allow for a good deal of incident and suspense. AV Club's Christopher Barnes said whatever flaws it may have, and it's far from perfect, the Moonbase has more than enough going for it to earn a place as one of the must-see serials of the Second Doctor era. Quite varied here, actually. In 2010, SFX named the resolution of patching the hole in the Moonbase with a drinks tray as one of the silliest moments in Doctor Who's history. That's fair to say, yeah. I like in, what was I watching recently? Yeah, do you remember I was watching the, Gundam 79, and, there's that technology where these, like, red bubbles come out and, like, fill up and materialize space where there's been breaches in the hull. That's good stuff. We need that. We need that for just general air travel, actually, frankly. Here we go. In a 2010 article, Charlie Jane Anders of IO9 listed the cliffhanger to the third episode, in which the Cybermen march across the moon's surface towards the base, as one of the greatest cliffhangers in the history of Doctor Who. It's so great, I decided to make it the banner of AOD to replace what was prior the album cover to Grace Under Pressure by the rock group Rush, which I'm sure we all know and love. Hope we do anyway. Why do I like the Moonbase? Yes, I've just come out. Yep, I really like the Moonbase. I don't like it quite as much as the Underwater Menace, and it is depressing, obviously, that episodes 1 and 3 of the serial are missing. But I just love Cybermen. As much as I am fond of that initial creepy as hell design, the keep the mouth open while every words come out, the 10th Planet Cybermen, they're the coolest in a respect, but these redesigned Cybermen are among the most likably distinct, goofy yet also terrifying designs in the history of visual science fiction media. I think the Cybermen might come across as goofy to a grown up, but it's so easy to imagine. Certainly myself, like little 4-year-old AOD, would have been terrified by these things, and that's what I think is cool about them. They do appeal to something innate and strange and illogical, like something out of a nightmare. Why would a robot have a kind of scary demon face? I mean, it's no wonder Jamie thought it was like the demonic Pied Piper or whatever that he was coming to take him to the afterlife. I think the Moonbase is a really good illustration, a really great attempt at what was becoming, as I've said before, the Base Under Siege production method within a Doctor Who serial. You have one setting, creatures, obstacles, enemies trying to attack the Doctor and the companions and the crew of that base, which the TARDIS has materialized within, and the Doctor comes up with some clever means. It's a great place to have a set atmosphere. You feel really involved. You're there with them in the base if it's well directed enough and the staging's really effective. Sometimes you have to. It varies, perhaps. We ultimately wind up with, I think, one of the more effective utilizations, venues, vehicles for a Doctor Who serial script to give the Doctor chances to outwit his enemy and to come. It's forced to have interesting moments of utilizing speculative science in order to defeat these nightmarish creatures. That's what I like about Base Under Siege, although it can be a bit overdone, and it's easy to imagine the formula being quite stupefied rather than in a good way stupefying. That's considered a positive, right? Just the imagery in this serial where it's available. You see, if I read this as a script or as a novelization, yeah, I can imagine it not being very effective. You would think, gee, those creepy Cybermen, they're just here just to kind of muck shit up at the end of the day, when you really think about it, when you kind of put 2 and 2 together, just to kind of really break it down. But visually, well, just look at this. This is cool as, right? Come on. You gotta love this stuff. Hell yes.